Hello there, welcome back. Been doing lots of grinding and stuff. Haven't had a chance really to get up north and do any good rock hunting, but figured I'd post a few more videos of making some cabochons. I don't have a really good holster for my phone, and I don't have any other camera to record videos with very well. So I'm going to do my best to record the video, show you the rock, and kind of show you what I'm doing on it and how it's progressing. I might do a couple today, I don't know. I've got several ready to go, so I'm going to kind of turn the camera around, show you what I've got, and then get to work. So give me just a minute. Okay, so here are some of the rocks that we have cut. Now some of these I haven't cut the cabochon shape out of. Some of them I've done at least a reasonable approximation of the shape of the cabochon. This one's a lovely green color, I really like it. Might work on this one today. The rest of these I still need to kind of cut out with my saw. Got those ready to go. I also took one of the stones my mom's gave me. I found a bottle cap inside that was roughly the same size and circular, so I can see really clearly where I need to trim down the edge to make this a more perfect circle. And as you can see, it's already somewhat polished, but I might give it a little better polish, put a groove around it, kind of finish this one up. We're going to work on that a little bit today. The main one I'm probably going to work on, like I said, is this one or the green one. Both of these are somewhat cut, somewhat ready to go. Again, I grind them down on the 80 grit, refine them a little bit more on the 220. I hit them with the 280 grit to get rid of any of the grinding lines. So as you're grinding on these wheels, it leaves scratches on the rock. So you can see some of the scratches there from the saw. Same thing happens with the grinding wheels. As you're grinding these down into the shape, it leaves the scrape marks from the grinding wheel. This will get rid of those grind marks. So I'm going to work on these two right now. I'll probably set my phone up somewhere and just do a time lapse, kind of watch from behind. Get those cleaned up as well, and then I'll show you where I'm at. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, so I got the general shape of this one cut out. So you can see this, I believe it's a type of Jasper. You can see the patterns in it. I can get it wet a little bit here. Gross water. But you can see the yellows, purples, reds in it. It's very cool looking. But what I did is I drew the outline on this side. You can see it's a little bit crooked, but not bad. But this is the side that will effectively be the back. And I don't know how clear it was on the video during the time lapse, but you may have noticed me using the side panel on my grinder like this. That's basically a really heavy duty grit wheel on the side, and it's flat. So this had a bunch of cut marks in it like that. And what I did is I put this against it and flattened it out so that the back is nice and flat. If this is Jasper, and I think that's what it is, all the times I've worked with it, there's always been pockets like this all over it. So it does make it a challenge. So what I'm going to do, got the back pretty much the right shape. I got a little bit too much off there, but not bad. Just going to kind of round it out a little bit, make it look a little bit more uniform. And then what I'll do, and I can probably just do this while you're watching, one of my tricks that I use is I will set the stone down on the top here, and I will get a, excuse me a second, and use it to draw a line around the top. And this is not for where I'm going to put the groove for the wire. This is more where I'm going to cut the angles down. So what I'm going to do is I want this to be a rounded top. And as you can see, there's a really rough, sharp edge around the edge. I want it to be rounded. So what I need to do is I need to tell myself how far down to round it. And what I'll do is I'll draw a line around the outside edge of this, and then I'll go back over to my low grit wheels, and I'll grind kind of like faces on it. So I'll grind down this side, then I'll grind down this side, then I'll grind down the back side, this side, all the way around. So all these things are kind of, at my best guess, 45-degree angles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground down the side, right down this side, until I hit the line. That is what tells me to stop. That will leave me with, I don't know, like maybe an 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, I don't know, not very much, but a little bit of space on the side for me to house my groove that will hold the wire. So this first mark, what I'm going to do is first off dry off my stone, which I need to find my cloth, which I put back behind me again. The garage is kind of a mess. I still haven't finished the laundry sorter from an earlier video. I still have to sand it down and hit it with some polyurethane. But I keep a bunch of my son's old t-shirts because they're really great for drying off my stones. And when you're polishing a stone on a cab machine like this one, you can't really see the scrapes until you dry it off. So now that I've dried it off, you can see all the scrape marks from the saw. And if I hold it this way, you should be able to see all the scrape marks going in the direction of my fingers. And on this side, if I let it dry out, you'll be able to see the scrape marks on this. But when you get it wet, you can't see that scrape mark as well. So drying it off helps highlight those scratch marks so you know where you need to polish more. So let me get my marker. And again, I did this technique in an earlier video. I'll do it in this one as well. So you put the marker flat on the surface, and then you just kind of, you just drag your stone along the edge of it. And this marker just happens to put it about where I want it. The nice part about using the marker flat on the surface like this is that I can move the rock away and then come back and draw, and it'll still be at the same level. So now you can kind of see I've got that line all the way around. Looks like I need to hit the line at the tip there a little bit. So, sorry, not easy to film this and do it at the same time, but you kind of get the idea. So I'm going to ground this top part up here down at about a 45-degree angle until I hit this line. This little bit of space down here is about how high the marker is off of the surface of my grinding wheel, and that will make sure I've got a nice even line all across, and it'll leave me a little space at the bottom for when I put my groove in with my glass cutter over here. So I think I've got the line in there. I'm going to set up the time lapse again and keep working on this, and I'll show you what it looks like after I've got the angles cut on it. So I'll be right back. Okay, I finished that part. Now you can see what it looks like. So as I said, I put 45-degree angles all the way down until I hit that line. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Now my line wasn't perfect when I made it, but as you can see, I did my best. I got to get a little bit more there, obviously. But you can see kind of the faceted look it gets when I do that. So I'm going to go around this a little bit more, even up that edge right there, obviously. Maybe a little bit there. And then my next pass, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit these at probably about a 65-degree angle, and just I'm basically making the curve. So it's steep here, and then it shallows out as it goes to the top. The end goal is to not have a whole lot of flat on the top. I want it to be just a nice round all the way across. So as you can see, when I do this, I basically hold it up there, one side like this, and then I turn a little bit, one side all the way down, one side a little bit down, one side a little bit down, and that makes the faceted edges. So if you see it under the light, you can see a flat surface there, a flat surface there. What I'll do next when I go around again is I'll slowly rotate the rock as I do it, and that will smooth out all those flat faceted edges. And then I'll again do this section up here, down to about a 60-degree angle, and it'll make the whole top round. Once I've got everything rounded, I'll start going down further, but I'm going to stop and show you that video again as well. I probably won't do the time lapse on this one. I'm just going to do it and then come back so you can kind of see this a lot quicker, but this will probably take me 5-10 minutes and I'll be right back. So you get to see it instantly. I got to go do the work. Be right back. Okay, I got the general shape pretty much done. And hopefully you can see how it's nice and rounded over the top. I got rid of a lot of those facets, but hopefully you can also see, if you look closely, all those groove lines. See those groove lines? That is what the grinding wheel does. So at this point, now that I've kind of got the rough shape, what I need to do is start hitting it with a little bit finer grit and there's still facets on here a little bit. They're just not easy to see. Might be a little easier to see if it was wet. Nice muddy water all over it. But there's still flat surfaces on there, which you can kind of see when I hold it under the light. But for the most part, they're kind of cleared up. I'm going to hit it with the 220 grit. That'll get rid of a lot of the more faceted sides, kind of cleaned it up a little bit, make it more smooth and round. And then I hit the 280 grit, and the 280 grit will hopefully get rid of all of those groove lines that you're seeing in there, and we'll have a nice flat stone. So I will stop it after that step and show you what that looks like when I get to that point. That's what it looks like now. Well, I think I'm done with that part. Still kind of looking it over a little bit here. But what you want is you want basically a nice, smooth, flat surface. You can see my thumb's still wet, so it's kind of what it's going to look like when it's drier. And what you don't want is any spot where there's scratch marks. Now, I didn't polish the back. I was hoping maybe the back would be a little bit drier so you can see what scratch marks look like. This is definitely the spot, if you're polishing a cabochon, that you want to stop, dry it off completely. You're going to be looking for scratch marks. Now, again, I will never claim to be a professional. You can see that sometimes my edge is a little thicker, sometimes it's a little thinner. I'm just not that good yet. I'm still practicing. You can see some scratch marks there, so that's an example of scratch marks right there in the back. See how they're going parallel with the line there? They're right there along my thumb. Those are what you're looking for. You don't want those to persist on the main surface of your stone, because they will show up like a sore thumb. Because you're going to start polishing this out, you're going to get rid of any little grooves or caverns on your rock using the next 3 grits, the 600, the 1200, and 3000. And any of those spaces where there's like grooves or something left from another level of grit will show up very, very well. So you gotta be very careful to make sure you get rid of all of them. I think I've done an okay job on this. So what I'm going to do now is going to pause the video. I'm going to hit these. This part, for some people, goes fast. I just sit here and take my time on it. Probably will take me 15-20 minutes just hit each grit for probably about 5 minutes or so, and just really make sure I've got all the surfaces as ground down as I can on that grit before I move to the next one and then the next one. At the very end, when I'm done with all this, I have a end wheel that's got polish on it that I can use. I may use that as well. That'll give it a little bit more shine, really buff it up. I also have a little bit of a product called Zam right back here. This is another thing I can hit, toss my Dremel wheel on, get a little bit of this on it, and it's just a really fine buffing polish. So I could use that as well. I'll see what it looks like when I'm done with this, and then when it's all done, I'll bring it back to show you. The last part, of course, will always be wrapping the wires. Another thing I'm not spectacular at, but I'll see if I can record that too and make it part of this video. Got a little bit of some flat surfaces up there at the top I might just round out. And the easiest way to round them out is basically those flat surfaces come from holding a rock too long in one position against the wheel. And to make those go away, you twist the rock back and forth like this, and it just kind of rounds that out for you. So I may do that on this one, see if I can get those flat areas on the tip there to go away. But other than that, I think we're about ready. You can see it's already sort of shining, but I'll get to work on it and I'll show you when I'm done with the polishing. Okay, I just finished buffing it. As you can see, it's very, very shiny. Hopefully you can see that. There are obviously imperfections. I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. There's a little bit of undercutting up there on the top. You can see the indentations there. That's basically where rock is a little bit softer, or there might have been a hole in the rock, and that part wore away more than the rest of the rock. But the rest of the cabochon looks pretty good. Again, I think this is a sort of Jasper. I may hit this with a little mineral oil and get that all really shiny and really polished and really make the colors pop. But I mean, you can kind of see that's what it looks like without the polish. That's what it looks like with the polish. Colors don't really pop that well out here, but it's a lovely reds, browns, purples, yellows. It's very cool looking. I think before I go in, I'm going to go over and use my grinding wheel, my glass grinder, to grind a groove into the outside edge of the rock so it's ready to be tied onto a cabochon. So I'll do that, and then I guess my next video will pick up after that groove's been made, and we'll go inside and see if I can get any better at wire wrapping. So you'll see that here in just a second. I'll see that in about 20 minutes. See you soon. Well, we're inside. A little bit of a bummer. We got the groove cut, as you can see, all the way around, but there was a little bit of a mishap on the end. And as you can see right there, the chunk came out, which is kind of a bummer. But we'll wrap it anyways. I haven't made anything really perfect. This is really cool looking as far as the stone goes, so I'm happy with it. Just gotta get some wire wraps on, so come back and talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing. Okay, I have everything I need. I have the stone. I cut about a 12-inch length piece of the square wire, so you can see it's got square there. If you want more details on my wrapping process, the last video has where I follow the process from the web page that I follow the directions from. So I've got a 12-inch piece of square wire. I've got a 6-inch piece of half round. This will be the inner wrap, and then I got a 6-inch piece of full round. That's a little bit bigger gauge, and that'll be the outer wrap. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this. There's unfortunately no easy way for me to film and try to wrap at the same time. I need both of my hands pretty much all the time, but you can kind of see my little toolkit. The main thing I use are these three things over here: regular needle nose, round nose, needle nose pliers, and wire cutters, of course. So the wire cutters are pretty much done until I get some stuff wrapped and tied up. So I'm going to finish it up and show you what it looks like at the end. And they're finished. And there's the wrap and the final stone. It turned out too bad. Pretty happy with it. Some nicks and some spots where it broke off, of course, as I pointed out before, but not too bad. That's the final project. Thank you again for coming in and watching. Again, if you want more information on how I wrap these or any of the stuff I use to make these, just let me know. I'm happy to post some of that information in the video. Otherwise, I'll be back again in a week or so with some more polishing, cabochon making, or rock hunting. So I'll see you then.